The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht, and you're listening on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. And I know we usually do it every Monday, but I mentioned during the summer when things happened, you know what? We're going to do our YouTube live stream. So we are live on our YouTube channel right now. I know it's going to take a little bit of time for some of our friends that look forward to our YouTube live streams. I know it was a surprise. We're going to do our YouTube live stream. And, you know, I really don't know why, because there's clearly nothing has happened over the last, a little over 24 hours.
Certainly.
I mean, I know, actually, no, we hired the softball coach. There's a new softball coach was a big deal, right? Other than that.
Well, here's the thing. We're used to so much more than just one thing going on. So it was it was pretty boring, you know, nothing popped out in the middle of the night before I was getting ready to go to bed. Certainly no movement in the recruiting fronts of the world.
Nope.
Nothing's going on.
Nothing at all. No, but in all seriousness, of course, a lot of you guys may have seen the news already because, yes, it did break last night. First reported by Brian McInnes. You're welcome, Brian McInnes. We let you have that one. But Mr. I know a lot of us were just kind of a lot of us in the media as the names were going around and Coconut Wireless and eventually starting to figure out that, hey, this is actually happening. We are starting to see who the name that is going to come out to be the one that is recommended to the Board of Regents for the new University of Hawai'i Manoa Athletics Director position. And it's one of the names we have been talking about, the few finalists. We talked about the finalists a little bit yesterday in terms of their internet profile, that I guess you could call it. So Matt Elliott expected to be the candidate that is recommended to the Board of Regents, which will likely be the Board of Regents meeting will either be next week. There is one today, but it has nothing to do with it's more of some other school stuff. It's not going to be today. Plus, you need to have that included on the agenda at least 7 days prior to the Board of Regents meeting. So that's how all of that works. So we'll keep you updated as to when it will appear on the Board of Regents agenda. But for now, that is the name, Matt Elliott, out of, collegiately, where he worked for about 13 years out of UCLA, is expected to be the name that will be presented to the Board of Regents. And it's been a whirlwind. You know, we talked about the three candidates being Matt Elliott. George Killebrew was kind of as Michael put it, the Vegas odds favorite. If it was Vegas, that's kind of where a lot of people were thinking would be the name that would be the forerunner. And no, it wasn't. And then you had Wes Smollett, who is the UC Riverside AD. That would have been another one. And by all accounts and our sources and whatnot, that they were the finalists for this athletics director position. And I guess within the last couple of days, or I would say between the people we talked to, maybe the last 5 days or so, it kind of was going back and forth in what we were hearing, whether it was George Killebrew or if it was Matt Elliott. And here we are. It is Matt Elliott. And I guess now that it is semi-official,
nope, it's official.
Oh,
2 minutes ago,
official.
Wendy Hensel tweeted out, after a national search, I am recommending Matt Elliott as the next Hawaii Athletics AD. With 12 years at UCLA, he's well qualified to lead our D1 program. Mahalo to Lois Mannon for her leadership as interim AD. Appointment goes to the board on June 16th.
Hey, next week.
So, it is official from the lady herself. The main woman in charge herself has broken the news because it got broken before she could, I guess.
Whoops. It's kind of what we do. We had looking at our chops, waiting to talk about this. But yes, Matt Elliott, as she mentioned, is there and will be recommended. And now it is officially official.
Literally 2 minutes, as you were saying it, it had just
8:05 a.m.
As we went on air. So she was waiting for us. she was making sure that we had something to talk about today because we were just saying how nothing was going on. Certainly, we have nothing to say about the AD search.
Yeah, nothing at all.
But awesome. She made our job way, way easier. We don't have to talk about this on pins and needles now.
Oh, this is nice. Yeah, I wasn't able to kind of use this. I'm showing it to our YouTube viewers because it's like his photo with him actually in like UH attire because we had to kind of like use other photos, and I know the media and stuff had to use other things, but there you go with the UH t-shirt and everything. He has been recently, again, with the Hawaii Community Foundation. So I guess now we can talk about the fact that once we started to hear he was a finalist, I personally, he was kind of like my favorite for a little while. The UC Riverside guy was. And then when I started to hear more about Matt Elliott being the part of the finalist of candidates, and I looked up his resume and kind of his entire background, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this guy. This is my favorite to potentially get this position. But again, brings 13 years of experience in athletics administration at UCLA. Most recently served as the Bruins Chief Strategy Officer from 2022 to 2024, where he led, and that's the big one, right? The department's transition from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten Conference and oversaw the creation of a comprehensive 5-year strategic plan. Woohoo! What is that? 5-year strategic plan? Yay! Prior to that, of course, a senior associate athletics director for the Bruins. So he, and actually it's funny because before all of this stuff came out, obviously we wanted to get as much information for you guys that we could. So most recently, he served as the senior director of policy and public affairs at the Hawaii Community Foundation. So he's been here for about a year and a half. And via his LinkedIn that will pop up for you there. So again, came here for the Hawaii Community Foundation. Before that, he is an attorney by trade. From what we could find, he is likely from the East Coast somewhere, but in the early 2000s-ish, he was actually working here. So after getting his law degree at Northwestern, he came here to be a law clerk at the federal court under Judge K. In 06 and 07.
Did anything happen in Hawaii that year? Was 07 a good year at all?
Yeah, just a bit. I'm sure he was well aware of what was going on at the University of Hawai'i football program.
Anyway.
So he was here for a year and a half, and then after he went to go, what I found out after doing my research, he went to be a litigator at Ropes and Gray LLP. This is in Boston, Massachusetts, where he was for 4 years. And from what I gather, that is actually one of the top law firms in the country, or at least that portion of the country. So that's pretty good to understand. And you guys know I have a soft spot for attorneys in these types of positions. I mean, Wendy Hensel has an attorney background as well and her law degree. So
I just like smart people.
Yeah.
Like, just frankly, I like smart people.
Northwestern, a pretty good school as well. And so, and of course, leave it to Hawaii Kind Tings and Coconut Wireless, because everyone, I've seen people be like, and it's a valid question, right? Like, wow, he was at UCLA 13 years and he was so big time. What happened? Why would he come all the way here and move to little old Hawaii?
He's a family man.
So I'm getting there, Paul. Like, Paul's like,
I'm excited about it. I don't know if you can tell.
So, so when he was a law clerk here in Hawaii, he met who would be his future wife. So she is from here. His wife is from here.
Shout out Allison.
The family. I'm not supposed to talk too much about the family yet, Paul.
It's in the article that UH let it out.
Good.
I am not putting any information that Wendy Hensel herself is
you.
not directly in this article.
I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't want to. I was like, I was advised.
I didn't say what school she went. I didn't say anything like that. Though he is from the Northeast. He's from Framingham, Massachusetts. So, by the way, that's one for me. That's a point of consternation that I took him as an East Coast guy before we actually knew. So I like to point out that I was right. Anyway,
and when I was talking to people, I was advised before this whole article of the University of Hawaii came out to not divulge too much information regarding the family life, but thank you for saying, hey, it's there. So yeah, shout out Allison. Her name is there.
Literally nothing
she is. So yes, she is from Hawaii, and of course, she's a Punahou grad. So another Punahou relation there.
Hopefully
we talked about how
her own table.
We talked about George Killebrew being a Punahou alum. So his wife Allison, and by his I mean Matt Elliott, his wife Allison is a Punahou grad, so she's from here, and that is kind of the tie. So they met here when he was the law clerk, And then again, he went back to the continent, was an attorney for a little bit, decided like, hey, I don't really like this lifestyle. I want to get in. I've always wanted to get into athletics. Got a job at UCLA and kind of worked his way up there at UCLA. And then, hey, lo and behold, like Paul was saying, he came here, or he came to Hawaii because, again, her family's from here. We all know us local girls can be very close to our families, especially when maybe parents are getting a little older, or maybe if you welcome in little bundles of joy, you want to bring them closer to their grandparents and what have you. So, wanted to move back for family reasons, and that's why he is back here in Hawaii and was at, like we said, the Hawaii Community Foundation. So that's to answer everyone's question, because like I said, I know it's valid. Like, why would he leave if he was so good at his job? Why would he not be at UCLA anymore? Family wins sometimes. And that's exactly what happened here at the University of Hawaii. So that's pretty cool. And that's a little tie-in, his Hawaii ties. Again, she went to Punahou and Occidental College, and that marked the beginning of a nearly 2 decades of connection to the island. So I know, obviously, that was a big deal when Craig Angeles got hired. Like, what is his connection here? Yada, yada, yada. So Matt Elliott, very much connected. And again, married the local girl. And that's kind of what it goes from now. So it's going to, if it is approved by the Board of Regents, this is also from the Hawaii.edu write-up. Elliott is scheduled to begin his appointment no later than July 1st with a base salary of $425,000 and $425,004. So funny how it said
404. Isn't that the code when a website no longer is there? A website?
No, it's 004. Oh, okay. Like $425,004.
Okay.
And additional.
I didn't hear the zero. Sorry.
And additional performance-based incentives. So again, continuing with this article, the official search for a new athletics director began in April, as we know, and was led by the 10-member search committee, led by UH Board of Regents Chair Gabe Lee. Gabe Lee? All right, Gabe Lee, you're back on the good graces now, because this is part of that. So you can expect that he's going to be approved because you have the chair of the Board of Regents. You wouldn't necessarily recommend someone and then deny that old person. Feels
barring
like
anything
kind of
insane,
there.
This is more just a formality than it is anything else. Like the recommendation itself is more so like the true job offer. Like, yes, the things have to go through the different parameters and whatnot, but I'm excited, Koo.
Yeah,
this is
too.
fun. What a great Thursday.
Me too. All right. We're going to take a break. We have still more to discuss about this. And as we read through, again, this news write-up for Hawaii.edu, but we're going to take a break and we'll be right back to continue this conversation about the new, or who is likely to be the new UH Manoa Athletics Director. You guys can text in or chime in on the live chat. Text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. So thank you guys for tuning in, either listening or watching. And again, we usually stream live every Monday, but because it is a big day with a lot to talk about, we figure, hey, we gotta jump on our YouTube. And we've been talking about Matt Elliott, formerly at UCLA and most recently here at the Hawaii Community Foundation, is expected to be the new athletics director for the University of Hawai'i at Manoa, expected to be recommended to the Board of Regents in a couple of weeks, or next week, actually. And yeah, next week to check my dates. And expected, as Paul was mentioning, it's more of a formality because Gabe Lee was the chair of the search committee and then is also obviously the chair of the Board of Regents. So it is likely to be approved and is set to begin his appointment no later than July 1st with a base salary of just over $425,000 and a 5-year contract. So like we were saying, it would be, hey, I just can't, like Craig Angeles, what is the term? Like Craig Angeles walked, so Matt Elliott can run. Exactly. There you go.
That's a good way to put
it. And then the other thing too that I know Stephen Tsai had this in his article, but we were also told as well that he is going to be able to bring in his own staff. So I know that was kind of a hot topic with a lot of people, including us here. And again, we're never wanting to talk about people losing their jobs whatsoever, but in college sports in general, right? Like when a coach moves on or gets fired, the new coach is allowed to bring in everybody new because they want to bring in their team to make them successful in the best way possible. So Matt Elliott is expected to be able to do that. So we will see what happens with if there is any change in the athletics department, but very much looking forward to Matt Elliott. He, again, we were saying out of the finalists that we were hearing, the three, he, after looking at his resume, was definitely my favorite to get this position. So as Paul was like a little puppy in the first segment, like we are excited.
Pumped.
Yeah, we've talked about it for months, considered the I guess the inspiring hire. And actually Matt Elliott, though, he was kind of a name that came like somewhat later in the early rumblings. Like we heard about Killebrew very early on. We heard about Millett early on. We heard about a couple of other people early on. And Elliott, not as late as over the weekend when we saw a potential WAC AD coming into the mix. But Matt Elliott was, I think I only found out about his name like just about maybe even a little less than a month ago. So, and that's when we kind of started to do our research in there. But like we're saying, he's from Massachusetts, holds a BA from Amherst College, where he competed on the varsity crew team.
Interesting.
So, former athlete, and earned his JD with honors from Northwestern University School of Law. After law school, moved to Hawaii in 2005 to clerk for U.S. District Court Judge Alan C.K. While here, as we mentioned, he met his wife, Allison, who was born and raised in Hawaii and graduated from Punahou School and Occidental College. This marked the beginning of nearly 2 decades of connection to the island. So Elliott saying, quote, "Hawaii holds a truly special place in our hearts, and it was important to us to raise our son here." So again, in there, in LA, California, at UCLA, and just figured, hey, started their family, wanted to move and raise their son here. Continuing the quote, "This is home for our family, and it is inspiring to serve a place and a community we love so much. I followed the UH program closely throughout my time at UCLA and HCF and have always admired the passion of the fans. The Rainbows have one of the most loyal followings in the country, and UH teams represent the very best of Hawaii." I love it. I'm so excited.
It's going to be good. And you said the operative word, right? Where for months I have been so annoying on these airwaves talking about how I want to be inspired by this hire, how I want to look at it, and I don't want to have to feel the need to defend it, but rather I want to feel like a kid on Christmas morning, giddy about what the possibilities could bring. This is a guy who has experience when it comes to moving a major institution between major conferences. And while I understand the Big West to the Mountain West isn't necessarily the exact same thing, it is encouraging that he has previous experience, that he has helped out in previous deals. I think I read in that article that UH released that he had also been on the team that negotiated one of the biggest, if not the biggest, brand apparel deal in college sports history. Like, he is somebody who has the knowledge, the experience, the contacts, and also on top of all of that, he still has Hawaii ties.
Yeah.
Like, he has a vested interest in making sure that the islands, that the people here are happy, and that it is going to be successful going forward. I talked about it where you look even back to the point where he was here in 06, 07, right? And during some magical times in Hawaii sports history, just by pure chance, right? How cool is it to come back and have an opportunity now to help usher in the new generation, the new golden era of Hawaii athletics and whatnot? And in a lot of ways, it feels like, I don't want to be like, oh, this is Craig Angelis 2.0. I don't think that's fair to Matt Elliott. I don't think that's fair to Craig. But it does, in a sense, feel that same type of positivity behind it, where it's like, this could actually work out. You know, this wasn't, they didn't go in their own little hui. They didn't, like just mail in the hire and whatnot. I understand the frustration of like, oh, a choice seems like it had been made. To me, this doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
This seems like they had people that they liked, but they allowed someone to actually prove that they deserve, they want, they should have this job. And it's Matt Elliott who comes out on top. I'm really excited about it. I think it was a solid process. From the people that I've talked to, obviously, I think it's been a solid process, and it's rare to get multiple people excited about it. And I've seen and heard multiple people excited about it, so I'm pumped. I think this is a great way to like get to end this week as well, because I mean the 16th was today, the 5th. The 16th is 11 days away, so we still have like some time to digest. But also at the same time, now people can actually stop worrying. People can stop arguing. People can stop being like, well, is it this? Is it that? Is it? We have an answer. And now we can start putting together more answers. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I am. And just kind of to emphasize your point about, yeah, this was a solid process. And I know President Wendy Hensel talked about, you want to do it quickly, but they wanted to do it right. And I think this is perfectly where it fell, right? At first, we were a little worried because she had said she wanted to appoint someone in August. And we were sitting here like, that's too late. And then it seemed like the timeline started to move up the more she became acclimated to the landscape here in the landscape of college athletics, realizing that, oh, wait, we can't and we shouldn't wait that long to complete this process. But it does feel, yes, that it was right. They had the executive search firm. They had the 10-person search committee here comprised of different business leaders and a coach. And then they went out to meet some of the dignitaries, the mayor, the governor. And again, when I get more clarity, it was more of not an interview by Governor Green or Mayor Blangiardi, but more of a meet and greet type of situation where it's like, yeah, it wasn't just a handshake. All right, we're going to go our separate ways. It was a sit down type of meet and greet. And then from there, it's more of like, oh, yeah, I do. Or, I like this guy or whatnot. So because I know a lot of people are still very adamant about like, how can they be involved in the hiring process? And I think Paul and I were talking about it yesterday where I do appreciate, Wendy allowing other people in the community to at least meet some of these candidates, and then from there making her decision. And collectively, I think she made the best decision. Like, I am excited, just like Paul. We were talking about it in our group text here with Michael Iscaro that we were getting excited that it was going to be him, and almost like we talked ourselves into the fact that it was. And then I kept thinking like, oh my gosh, I feel like my heart is going to be ripped out if for some reason, even though we're like, no, all of our sources are saying that that's who it's going to be. But because we never saw anything official, never actually spoken to Wendy as the actual source until now, it's like, okay, now we can breathe a sigh of relief and really believe that this will be the new AD again. June 16th will be not 2 Mondays, well, not next week, but the following Monday, which is interesting because usually the Board of Regents meetings are on Thursday. So I was like, oh, it's going to be on a Monday, June 16th.
That's a special meeting. Do they have those from time to time?
Probably, just to kind of speed up the process. Again, July 1st is when he's expected to start and expected to get approved because that would just not make sense. You have Gabe Lee there and Gabe Lee there. And yeah, so I think Hawaii fans can get excited that this will be the new and next University of Hawai'i Manoa Athletics Director, Matt Elliott. And I'm excited. I'm inspired. I look forward to meeting the guy. He seems great on paper, and he married a Hawaii girl, so he's got to be.
Can't be too bad.
Yeah, he got to be pretty good. And from what I looked up, again, it's not publicly on here, but her family is a established family. Well, she went to Punahou, so
right.
But yeah, her dad. When we start to learn more about it, people will her father's name will sound familiar to a lot of the local. He's a business person here, so I'm looking forward to it. He knows a lot about Hawaii already through her. Family guy, came here for their son, and it's just has that side, the personal side, and I joked about this, but I'm still kind of serious, like smart attorney to have barely anything on the internet about you, like no profile or anything. Maybe he can get a social media manager though, because we got to kind of
need
to be like a little bit more active on that.
Up the social just a tick bit. Once he starts, but overall I don't disagree. I do appreciate somebody who in a sense moves in silence. It's impressive. He beat out over 110 candidates like nationally. More than half of them were the minimum qualifications. This is a really strong candidate, a really strong dude who people should feel comfortable being excited about. I'm not telling you that you should be, that you need to be excited, that if this wasn't your first choice, that you shouldn't or have no reason to feel some sort of disappointment. I totally understand that if you do. Totally do. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to have their own different favorites. But similarly, how we have talked about, no matter who got the job, we were ready to give them a chance. Please, if this isn't your person, if Matt Elliott's not your guy, if you're not inspired by this, at least give him a chance to inspire you now. Maybe, once he gets approved and whatnot as well. But
I know, that's the thing. Dang it. I mean, I am very happy and appreciative that this announcement came way before I am scheduled to go on vacation, because I'm glad I can talk about it in real time, breaking news, chat with you folks, especially on YouTube too. So fortunate that this happened, but I am a little bummed because I'm assuming the official press conference and whatnot will take place when I am gone, naturally. But it's okay. You guys will have it covered, and I'll probably tune in away from, I don't know, maybe I might be in Europe by then. So I'm going to tune in with everything going on. So I'm happy that this is happening this week, a full week already. But yeah, we're going to tailor this conversation again. If you guys have something to text in and talk about, we more than welcome it, or chime in on the live YouTube chat. When we come back, though, we'll talk a little bit about another hire that happened yesterday. It kind of like went back to back to back. The new University of Hawai'i softball coach after 35 years. Again, Bob Coolin coaching for 34 seasons. And now we got a new one. Panita Thanatharn is the new University of Hawai'i softball head coach. So we'll talk about that when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Paul Brecht. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. And woo, we are fired up today talking about the University of Hawaii at Manoa, because not one but two major announcements that came in yesterday. We'll get back to a little bit more about the AD conversation a little later, but I did obviously want to talk about the other significant hire that came through yesterday, a hire that was somewhat shocking to a lot of people. And to be fair, we weren't really privy to a lot of what was going on behind the scenes. I know a lot of you guys had texted in and you were passionate asking and about the process and what we were hearing in softball. And I honestly was not hearing much. And so I couldn't even, and that's like, for sure, right? Like you notice we never even said any other candidate's name except for Coach D, the associate head coach for the University of Hawaii under Bob Coolin for a long time. And by all accounts, I just know the softball community kind of wanted her. And again, to be fair, I don't think anybody else knew who was applying. And I understand that that's who a lot of people did want. But the University of Hawaii choosing to go a different direction, choosing to select Panita Thanatharn, who has served as the associate head coach for Long Beach State for a while now. Acting athletics director Lois Mannon announced. So again, the fourth head coach of the University of Hawaii softball program. And she replaces Bob Coolin, who again coached the Rainbow Wahine for 34 seasons after retiring at the end of this past season. Obviously, the process kind of got started during the season because you already know that the head coach has to be replaced. So no surprise that this all kind of happened so quickly. And with softball in general kind of wrapping up, we got the Women's College World Series in the final portion right now. But I'm excited, too, for this hire. She has a lot of experience, and she took care a lot at Long Beach State. She was the primary recruiter and hitting coach, as well as handling all administrative duties and the conditioning program for the team. So that's really significant to point out, right? She wasn't just a coach. She was kind of had her hand in these significant portions that I believe is great experience for a future head coach. And I'm really excited for the program. Again, I understand the disappointment, and I've been very open on not necessarily being so in tune with the softball and in some ways baseball side of things over here as much as we maybe are in the basketball realm here, right? But from people I've talked to and looking at her resumes, in 18 seasons as an assistant head coach, Thanatharn has been a part of 9 NCAA regional teams, 8 with Long Beach State and 1 with UNLV, 5 Big West Championship teams, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021, and most recently 2023. During her time with Long Beach State, the Beach never finished conference play lower than 4th place. She helped coach 16 all-region players, including All-Americans Brooke Turner and Taylor Rowland, as well as Big West Player of the Year, Shayna Kimbrough, and 3 Big West Freshmen of the Year. She is also a former player for Long Beach State, so I think that gives her even more credit. Again, I'm not saying that because you have to play in order to be a good coach, but I think it can help you in your coaching career if you did play the sport, because you can kind of see through the eyes of some of these players. And she double majored at Long Beach State in exercise science and sports psychology and coaching in 2006, and received a master's in kinesiology with an option in sports management from Long Beach State in 2008. And she is in her early 40s, so very, very young coach. And we were excited to chat with her. And I am very, again, just based on resume and based on our first interactions with her, I like her. Like, I think she will bring something fresh to the program. And again, it is unfortunate because, again, Coach D, I know, was a favorite amongst the local community here. And there are some people on social that are very adamant and a little disappointed that it wasn't her. But in my opinion, again, and that's valid. It's valid to feel that way. I think if I was close to someone that I thought would be like this ideal candidate for the job, I'd feel that way too, but because I'm not, I'm a little bit further removed, and I'm looking at Coach Panita's resume and seeing people on her camp react to her getting the job. I'm like, wow, a lot of people are very much excited for her. Again, had a few years coaching in the Mountain West at UNLV. So I think she kind of brings maybe just a different look, and might have to get used to the recruiting out here in Hawaii, because California, as we know, is a hotbed of softball players. You don't have to go very far to go find some of these players. But the University of Hawaii opting to go kind of away from what they're used to. And that's, I think, important to mention too, right? Sometimes you have coaches that are in the same coaching tree, and I'm not insinuating that Coach D is the same coach as Bob Coolin, but maybe they look at someone outside, but still that has been coming to Hawaii regularly, because again, Long Beach State, so coming over here to play Hawaii, they just opt to go in somewhat of a different direction. But nonetheless, looking at her resume, first interactions with her via Zoom anyways, I like it. I think this is a great hire so far. Again, on paper, we got to see what happens on the field, but I don't think it's a hire that will be like, has this humongous question mark or anything.
I don't think this is some like big, screw you to Coach D or something like that. Like, I would feel that way if they just hired some schmuck off the street, right? Yeah. Coach Panita is, like you said, and like you did a wonderful job promoting, her resume speaks for itself. She was a phenomenal player back in her day. She went through some hardships of her own, which I always appreciate, because I think that coaches sometimes can get injuries. They understand them. And then other times, I don't think they totally understand just how brutal an injury can be on a student athlete's mentality and whatnot. So I do appreciate the fact that she does have that unfortunate experience, but experience nonetheless. And also, just calling a spade. Long Beach State has kicked everyone's butt for years in the Big West, right? They always finish in the top four under.
It's crazy.
Ever since Coach Panita's been there, they finish in the top four every single year. They always have a great hitting offense every single year. And now you bring up a very important point, right? It's the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. Can you find quality players? Can you make the inroads, the connections here in Hawaii the same way that you did in California? Can you bring some of that California talent here to Hawaii maybe a little easier than you have in the past? But overall, I think this is a great hire on, like you said, on paper. Obviously, we need to see results. We need to see her get an opportunity to actually prove herself. But the fact of the matter is she's worked under a couple of very, very well-respected softball coaches on the West Coast. She's got experience both playing, coaching, being in different roles, basically running a program without running it as the associate head coach over at LBSU. Just overall, I'm very, very excited for her to get this opportunity. And at the end of the day, I'll say this as well on the whole Coach D thing. I think she's a phenomenal coach. I think she deserves an opportunity somewhere. She has paid her dues. I totally understand why people are upset. But if she were just given this job, I don't think she'd feel good about that. I think she would want to earn the job. And not in I've paid my dues, so I should get the next shot, but in I want you to believe that I am truly the best candidate. And if that's not the case, then unfortunately that's not the case, and the school didn't believe that. That doesn't mean Coach D can't coach somewhere else. That doesn't mean that she can't make them regret that decision. Doesn't even mean that Coach D won't stay here. You know what I mean? There are so many different things that can go into this. I understand people being upset. Totally fair. Absolutely fair. But please don't allow that being upset to take away from the fact that Coach Panita deserves a chance. She deserves the support, the opportunity to prove that she's going to keep this softball program where people want it to be, think it should be. And we love Bob Coolin. We appreciate Bob Coolin. Before this year, it's kind of been stuck in the middle, right? In the middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand as well if you do have some people on the committee who are like, what if we got a new voice? Just in case. What if we got a new voice? Doesn't always mean it's the right choice, but it is also a very easy route to see why they might think that as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more of the background before we go to our next break of something that Paul kind of mentioned about her injury. So again, she was a player at Long Beach State. She's just so cute. She's like a tiny little thing. It lists her as 5'2" when she was playing, a sixth year, a senior at Long Beach when this article came out in
Before
07.
6 years were really a thing.
She was like a legit 6 year because she had a legitimate red shirt, medical red shirt type of situation going on. But prior to that senior year for her, she was emerging as one of the best players actually out of Long Beach in the first 7 games of the season. And this was her sophomore season. She was hitting at 526. So
that good?
From the batter's box and becoming a leader on the team. But in a game against Loyola Marymount, she was coming around and sliding into home. And it's crazy because we were talking about running into catchers just the other day.
And that's why the rule is there.
So this is, and it took a while. This is still a long ways removed from injuries like this. So she got to home plate. She slid into score, and it describes it as snap. So the LMU catcher was blocking the plate, and Thanatharn slid into her, and she basically broke, and things were sticking out. And
you saw parts of the body that you're not supposed to see on the outside.
That she says you only see in biology class were sticking out of her leg. She had severely fractured her tibia and fibula, and if there's anything we've known, especially from football, where a lot of these injuries, those are serious because they can screw with blood vessels and everything like that, and that's why it takes a long time for these severe leg injuries to heal and you come back from. One of the trainers, now the softball coach, or was the softball coach at Long Beach State, said it was one of the worst injuries they ever seen. You'd never want that to happen to everyone. She went to the ambulance, was in the hospital for 10 days. Her leg was in disarray, and all she could think about, like, when was she going to play softball again? So after 6 months, the injury was not healing properly, so she had surgery that put screws into her leg and foot in an effort to put the bones back together. So she had to go through all of this process and work her way back. But she also it gave her a chance to kind of look at the game itself. She was able to travel with the team, but it just took her a little bit of time to get back. But the injury also didn't hinder her studies, so we can appreciate that. She had already received degrees in exercise science and sports psychology, and at the time was working on her master's in sports management as she played her final season at Long Beach State. So she'd been through some adversity as a player too. So again, we understand that people may have been disappointed without Coach D being hired, but I feel, at least on paper anyways, Hawaii is still getting a very solid head coach for the softball program in Panita Thanatharn. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will actually keep our University of Hawaii conversation going, but get you some UH men's basketball updates for UH and also for HPU, because we haven't, there were some updates. I was like, oh, we didn't tell everybody about that yet. So we'll talk some men's basketball to close out hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic? Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Again, special live stream because there's kind of a lot of big news to talk about. We'll close the hour and I'm a little bit more calm, but we'll pick up our UHAD conversation coming up in hour number 2. Again, if you have missed it, Matt Elliott is going to be recommended, and President Wendy Hensel's pick to be recommended to the Board of Regents on June 16th. But by all accounts, he should be approved, and then we'll start on the job on July 1st. A 5-year contract, just over $400,000 a year. So excited about that. And just in the previous segment, we were talking about the new softball head coach, again, taking over for longtime head coach Bob Coolin. Panita Thanatharn coming over from Long Beach State, where she was the associate head coach. But again, shout out to everybody tuning in on our YouTube channel. Hello, Robert. Are you a B fan tuning in? So, and then also
dancing
Dom,
in the studio.
Yes,
Absolutely. Always dancing in the studio.
Dom Drury texted me when we first hopped on air. Our good buddy working out there in the Big West. We dropped his
to say about?
we dropped his name a bunch of times yesterday, and he's the one. Again, we feel happy for him and the Big West that they are, by all likelihoods, will be a nice intact conference way above the threshold for the NCAA. And so we're excited that they had welcomed in Utah Valley University yesterday. We were talking about it a lot, to the Big West Conference, and before that, Cal Baptist. So again, 2 schools to replace the 2 schools that are departing. Obviously, we know the University of Hawai'i and UC Davis. So again, shout out to our good buddy Dom Drury working out there in the Big West. All right, Paul, want to kind of what?
Sorry, that was fun. All right, Paul. I took it as all right, Paul, you're taking over. Here you go. Here you go. I'm walking out of the studio type of thing. So I was like, whoa, wait a second here. I was reading the chat.
All right, Paul. Get ready. I'm like, this is where I'm ready to throw you the alley-oop so you can dunk it down there. Like, that's what we're doing here, because we're going to talk some hoops right now, some men's hoops specifically. Again, I feel like we haven't reported on some of this in a little bit, but before I toss it over to you, want to make sure we mention one of the new HPU men's basketball commitments actually coming home. Kahiel Brun coming to play for the HPU Sharks is one of them. And then, so talk about him a little bit for the HPU Sharks, and then also any other maybe interesting news or rumblings that you can share for the UH men's basketball side.
Lot of ground here that you've given me. I'm just going over to my pages. Sorry. Kahi, the nickname, thankfully. Shout out Knock for making sure that I'll be able to use that one on the broadcasts next year. Spent the last couple of seasons at Willamette University, averaged about 8 points, 5 rebounds per game across about 20 minutes. Has 2 years of eligibility, originally from here in Hawaii, obviously, a KSK grad. Now going to play for another warrior of sorts in Jesse Nakanishi, obviously. Not getting his toes wet in the high school scene at the, with the Warriors, winning a couple of state championships and whatnot. Athletic guy, somebody who just continues to add on to what is going to be, I think, a faster-paced team next year for HPU, a lot smaller than this past, honestly, the last 2 seasons for the Sharks, while they still do have, guys like Mai Dusanich and a couple of others. The size isn't necessarily there like Tucker Polici or like when we saw Matt Van Komen or Jonas Visser. They do have a freshman coming in Zane Gall, who stands at 6'10", but with a freshman, you never want to expect too much. Not everybody can be Aaron Hunkenclader. Sorry. But no, Kahiau, I don't think he'll be a starter by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think that is what his role will be for HPU. But I do think he will have an opportunity to legitimately compete for minutes. So, to me, I look at this almost in a similar light as either a Jacob Kimura or like a Cordell Ing. Obviously, 2 very different players there, but guys who are going to put in effort, guys who are good role players, who you can kind of put into different situations, different spots on the team, different roles on the team, and they're not going to really complain. They're just going to say, yes, coach, and they're going to go out there and do it. Also, I like the fact that he's athletic. He's going to bring some bunnies into the Shark Tank, and anytime that we can get a little more excitement, that is always the best case scenario. A little news on UH men's basketball. In case you didn't see it yesterday, Roy Igwe, the freshman last year, ended up redshirting after suffering a knee injury during the summer. Healed nicely. He actually will not end up playing for the University of Hawai'i. He signs a professional contract over in Japan. I couldn't be happier for the kid. I mean, like, he is legitimately, from the few opportunities I had to chat with him, one of the kindest people I got a chance to chat with. Also a very nice guy. Mm-hmm. So excited for that opportunity for him. Also excited anytime Hawaii gets it, because I know he didn't play any games, but he did choose UH and whatnot. Yeah. Now we get to be like, he's a Bo in the pro. Or he's a pro. Bo's in the pros?
Yeah, Bo's in the
pros. It's the singular instead of the multiple there. So Roy Igwe, he will not be on the team next year. He's going off to play professional hoops. Super awesome. Opens up another spot. Opens up another spot in the front court as well, which we've talked about it, Koo. They're still working the transfer portal a little bit, trying to get, I'm going to say the words backup big man. That's not really like how they're attacking it. It's more like a quality rotational big. But in my mind, that is the role that they need to fill, especially now with Roy Igwe stepping out, leaving. He was 6'7", 6'8". It's tough. But yeah, I think, goodness.
Whoa.
I think we have.
Paul is still recovering, by the way,
Clearly.
obviously.
I think we do have some movement, though, in the next few days for Hawaii. I know they have been closing in on a couple of different guys that they've had conversations with, but it always is when they decide to make their decisions and not up to me. So I will share when I can on that front, but I do know that in the next week or so, we probably have some movement once again for UH.
There you go. There you guys have it. So we'll get you more updates for UH basketball as the news cycle. What is this? A slow summer keeps on going for the University of Hawaii. I want to remind everyone or let everyone know about the kids camp for Hawaii men's basketball is happening June 9th through 12th and June 23rd through 26th. $275 per child. It will be at the Stan Sheriff Center and Gym 2 from 9 to 3 and ages 6 through 17. If you know Zorned's story, you want to get noticed.
Gotta
Go
get
to
there.
the kids camp. Oh, this is funny. I'm looking at
We'll
the
have to
flyer
play
from
that
the
sometime.
Yeah, I'm looking at the flyer from the Instagram, and like Justin McCoy is on one of these photos, and he's like, "My fit was absolutely disgusting." Laughing face emoji from here. So again, June 6th, or last day to sign up for our first camp, or is June 6th at 4:30 p.m. So you can again, you got till tomorrow, excuse me, to sign up for that first camp, June 9th through 12th. All right, gonna take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht, and this is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. So hello to everyone for tuning in, or if you're just joining us, welcome. And we are happy to have you here. It's a packed day of a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen already, the new athletics director has been chosen, or the one that will be put forward to the Board of Regents come June 16th. But by all accounts, he is likely to be approved. And again, this is just the formality with UH being a public institution, yada, 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 yada. But I think we can all count on nothing going awry in the Board of Regents meeting in about 10 days. So Matt Elliott, again, most recently with the Hawaii Community Foundation. He was a senior director of policy and public affairs, And before that, he was at UCLA. I know, he was at UCLA and kind of efforted the transition for the Bruins to go into the Big Ten Conference. Coming up later in this hour, though, we do, in the first hour, we were talking a little bit about the new UH Manoa softball head coach in Panita Thanatharn being named yesterday morning as well. So coming up in this hour, we will actually let you hear a good portion of the press conference that was held yesterday for the media via Zoom. She is not technically here yet, not on island, but of course, as expected, it makes sense to stay on the continent, so maybe she can do some recruiting there instead of coming here, going back, all of that stuff.
Save a couple bucks, couple hours,
recruiting
some
the hotbed
pain in the back.
The hotbed of California. Might as well stay there and get some recruiting done before coming out here to Hawaii. But we'll let you hear from her and a lot of what she had to say to the media yesterday. Again, I can imagine like the nerves were going and everything. In case anybody was wondering, we will not hear from Matt Elliott or President Wendy Hensel until after the Board of Regents meeting on June 16th. So we'll have to wait a little bit of time. I am bummed that I won't be here for that. I will be on vacation, but I am happy that the announcement of the potential new athletics director did come before I go on vacation. But yes, in case anyone's wondering, we will not get any comment or audio or anything like that from Matt Elliott or President Wendy Hensel until after that June 16th Board of Regents meeting. But again, his appointment expected to begin no later than July 1st, so maybe could start a little earlier with the base salary of $425,004 and additional performance-based incentives, which is interesting. And he will have a contract, unlike former athletics director Craig Angeles. So it's looking forward to everything he's going to do. I do want to go back to some of the stuff that was mentioned about him and during that UCLA Big Ten move via some articles by like the LA Times and whatnot, where he was mentioned as having a huge hand in it and mentioned in a lot of these big time articles. Again, most recently, the UCLA Chief Strategy Officer had mentioned that their mindset right now is to make sure that we are ready for everything that comes when we join the Big Ten. He also mentioned that he spoke with athletic officials and other schools that had completed conference moves or were in the middle of the process, seeking suggestions to ensure UCLA didn't overlook any part of its transition. At that time, USC didn't have an athletics director. So all of these little things that we were able to, what little online footprint that Matt Elliott had, but articles that we could find, made me very optimistic and excited about this hire because, again, he has that experience not only in collegiate athletics, and I know some people are kind of emphasizing, well, he never had to hire or fire any coaches yet. To me, honestly, in the world of college athletics these days, that's kind of, I never want to call it an easy job, but the fact that he was in a crucial time for UCLA and in there, and this article references him asking other programs, because that was the point I brought up before, right, about having ties to other programs and colleagues that you can reach out across the continent. I like that. That was something that I liked about Craig, where he could reach out to other people around the country and just see how they were doing certain things, where I wasn't too confident about some other candidates having those type of connections, just to be able to pick up the phone and not be a stranger to this person. So they will share their information with you and share their processes. So that makes me excited as well, that when I read some of these things in these articles, when he was at UCLA, I'm like, all right, I am buying into this guy. And this was before it was mentioned. So we were talking about this in the first hour, that I feel like my heart would get ripped out if it ends up not being Matt Elliott, because I talked myself into him being the most qualified, in my opinion, only most qualified candidate of the finalists that we were, I don't want to say 100% aware of, but for the most part, that we were kind of privy to some information.
Pretty sure of.
Yeah, he was the leading candidate in my mind, so that's why I was excited now after this morning to kind of hear all of that and read some of these write-ups. Again, you can go to hawaii.edu and their news to read the full write-up about Matt Elliott, in case you guys didn't see some of the stuff that like our Michael Escaro had posted at hawaiisportsradio.com or other things. But again, he is married to a local girl, again, someone who was born and raised here, and she went to Punahou and Occidental College. And so part of the big reason why, in case everyone had the question mark on why would you leave such a big time job at UCLA to come and work at the Hawaii Community Foundation, it's because they had a son and they wanted to raise the son here in Hawaii. And of course, obviously closer to her family. And guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? When the wife is like, hey, I want to be closer to my family, it's very hard, unless you're a professional or upper level collegiate coach. It's kind of hard to say no when the wife is like, I want to move closer to my family. Let's go back home. So he has that strong Hawaii connection, familiar with the culture. They met when he was a law clerk out here. And then she's been following him, was an attorney on the East Coast at a prominent law firm. And then before deciding that I don't want to be in this anymore, I want to go work in athletics, and has been with UCLA and then the Hawaii Community Foundation. So all of these things, again, aligning is just, hey, this guy seems like a pretty good guy, like nice family man, seems like a good dude. And then at the same time has a lot of this experience. I brought it up yesterday. I was able to find like a YouTube video about something, and I liked the way that he spoke. Sounds very intellectual, very well spoken. So everything I could find with what little internet footprint, again, that he had, he was by far my favorite compared to some of the other finalists that we were hearing about. So I'm excited. Again, we were talking about this before. Inspiring hire, like, for at least everyone. And I understand some people were disappointed, like our Caesar wanted George Killebrew. I won't go back to the conversation we had yesterday, but that cut, in my opinion, was kind of knocked him down a little bit compared to Matt Elliott for that sake. But anyways, I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. And we've talked about this. If you missed it, you can hear in hour number 1, or now you can hear kind of here, where, this guy was difficult to find a lot of information about to begin with. Like, we worked hard. We looked up. I used as many different key phrases as I could.
And you did find Matt Elliott.
I did find him, but it's like he's got like an article and a half worth of information on him online. So,
oh no, I meant like there's just a ton of Matt Elliott.
I mean, I didn't find him. I found Matt Elliott Palooza. I'll say this. I am very encouraged, and I understand you should take these with a grain of salt from time to time. I appreciate some of the quotes about people, or from people who have worked with Matt, where it's like you listen to them, and most specifically, the one that sticks out to me is John Spiraw. That's one that I'm sure, a name that might sound familiar, pardon me, to a lot of UH men's volleyball fans. It's the former UCLA men's volleyball coach. He's now the USA Volleyball president and CEO. He worked with Matt Elliott for a long time. He went on to say that Matt Elliott's a man I trust. During our years working together, I could walk into his office, often unannounced, and find someone ready to listen and tackle the most complex challenges. He's calm, thoughtful, and always honest. I knew he would tell me the truth. When Matt called to share that he had an opportunity at the University of Hawai'i, my immediate thought was they'd better hire him, and they did. You've hired one of the finest administrators I have ever worked or had the privilege to work alongside. That is a very encouraging quote from somebody who I respect in the same breath as like a Charlie Wade, where you don't get to be that level of successful as a coach or person in general without surrounding yourself with other great people and without having a pretty good smell test, we'll say. So I trust his judgment of Matt Elliott's character. And if you just continue on through some of these other quotes, you get things like, Matt was critical to our success during his time at UCLA. Matt is one of the strongest leaders I've had the pleasure of working with. He has the rare ability to take on complex challenges, distill them to the essentials, and bring people together around a common solution. Now, wouldn't that be nice to have everybody pull in the same direction at UH? To have everybody in such an important time in college athletics, whether it's the realignment, whether it is the financial side of things, the fact that NIL continues to be very important, you have the House settlement, all of these things going on. Wouldn't it be nice to have a leader who is able to galvanize the group and get everybody pulling in the same direction for a school that very much so deserves it, for a fan base that very much so deserves it in Hawaii? These are encouraging quotes, and to be fair, they're just that. They are just quotes at this point. He still has to do the job. He still has to go through. But when we're talking about how he stacked up against other candidates, when you hear the way other people speak about him, you feel pretty good about, maybe it's not a bulletproof hire, but it's a pretty darn good one, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, nothing ever is a bulletproof hire. That's rare in general in any field. I do want to kind of continue with what you're saying about quotes that are released by Hawaii.edu. This most recently, again, as we mentioned, Matt Elliott coming over from the Hawaii Community Foundation. And this was a portion from what Micah Kane had to say, who is the president and CEO of HCF. Saying in a short time at Hawaii Community Foundation, he's made a lasting impact on work that will continue well beyond his tenure. I have complete confidence that he'll bring a collaborative, values-driven culture to UH athletics. On top of that, he's simply a joy to work with. Once you get to know Matt, you just want to be part of what he's building. So again, that's most recently of where he was at HCF. And yes, there's a bunch of quotes, as Paul mentioned, from people like the former athletics director at UCLA, Dan Guerrero, who I think early on was like a name that got thrown out there that people were wanting to take over at UH as well. You have Deshaun Foster, the UCLA head coach, that is mentioned in a quote in this as well. So very excited for fans and again about this hire and looking forward to what Matt Elliott can bring to the University of Hawaii with his extensive background on the legal scope in athletics at a high tier during conference realignment and that transition, and able to have and come up with strategic plans and everything that we need here at the University of Hawaii. So again, we're excited, but I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we will go back to our softball coach conversation. The new University of Hawaii softball coach was named yesterday. The former now associate head coach, at Long Beach State, Panita Thanatharn. So when we come back, we will let you guys hear a good portion of what she had to say to the media yesterday after being selected as the next head coach. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht. Rocking and rolling and dancing in the studio here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. So hello and welcome to everybody tuning in. All right, we want to talk a little bit more about the softball program now, as the new head coach, just the fourth head coach in program history, Panita Thanatharn, was announced as the next head coach for the softball program yesterday, following the retirement of Bob Coolin after 34 seasons at the helm. So she had a chance to address the media yesterday, which was awesome. So I want to play that for you guys. So here is what head coach Panita Thanatharn had to say.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Panita, and I'm just super pumped to get this position and be the head coach at Hawaii. And I can't wait to meet everyone. And I'm, like I told the players today, can't wait to get down there and start meeting everyone and the players and getting to know them, their families, and getting ready to work. So super excited. A ton of people to thank, but I'm just so pumped and excited for this opportunity. So fire away.
First things first is, obviously you've spent the last few weeks trying to get this job, but what was it about the job that made you want it in the first place? What really called out to you as far as why you feel that you are a good fit for this program?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of respect for Hawaii. Obviously very familiar with the conference, and going out there every other year, and just, a lot of respect for Hawaii and the university and the team. And so it was an opportunity that I just couldn't pass up. So I'm super, super excited, and I can't wait to get there and bring that winning culture and tradition back. And I know it could do big things, and it's supported very well. So I just can't wait to get there.
As you mentioned, you've been around the program a lot, being in the Big West Conference. Obviously, rosters change from year to year, but the Hawaii softball player, I mean, obviously that'll be a big part of the recruiting, is that you do have a home base here with a lot of talent. What in your softball career, how would you assess the talent here in Hawaii, and how important will it be to try and keep that talent home?
It's very important. I think Hawaii, I want to keep the in-state kids at home. Being at my previous institution, we did a lot, obviously it's a hotbed too, in California, like Hawaii, but if you could keep your best kids at home, that's what you want to do, and have them represent your community and your state with a lot of pride. And there's just something, different about your home school. And I'm going to do my best. And I know you're looking at softball right now. There's a lot of talented Hawaii kids, and I'm going to try to keep them home as best as I can. So,
you mentioned just having familiarity with the program. Obviously, you know who you're taking over the program from. Talk a little bit about that, and maybe was there ever any thought? Obviously there's big shoes to fill, having someone here for 34 seasons. Talk a little bit about that, and kind of maybe your thought process in taking over for Coach Bob.
Yeah, definitely. The two coaches that I've coached under, two very similar situations, have been at their institutions for a very, very long time. So a lot of respect, and, a job like this doesn't come up very often. This has been 30-something years. So definitely going to continue to build on what Bob has done, and just continue to elevate it and make it the best experience I can for the student athletes.
You're listening to the introductory press conference with new University of Hawaii softball head coach Panita Thanatharn.
You have had a lot of experience in your time at Long Beach State and obviously elsewhere at UNLV, but could you talk a little bit about your hitting philosophy? That's something that you guys have done exceptionally well at Long Beach. How do you teach your players? How do you recruit in that area? What is kind of the thought process when it comes to how you want to attack that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to recruit the best athletes and fit for, our program. If you look at the teams that I've been a part of, it's not a one size fits all. So it's not like your toe has to be here and you have like they're not robots, right? So everybody has their own style, and then we just kind of tinker it from there and what we need to fix. So it's not completely, a one size fits all. And if it looks ugly, but they're a competitor and they know how to hit, and I don't care how it looks sometimes. If they're competitors and it works, I'm not going to go change that.
And then a little more on your playing days and how that shaped you. I know you went through a pretty big injury during your career, came back from it. How did that kind of shape your mindset as you continued on in the softball world, both in your playing career and as now you've evolved into a coach?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I was 20, it was my sophomore year, tough age, and completely shattered my leg and spent 10 days in the hospital and had 7, 8 surgeries since then. So, so that was tough. I was out for 2 years. That was before like red shirts and 6 years was a thing playing, right? So, I didn't play very much after that. I was hot. I was having a hot year that year before I broke my leg, and I wasn't quite the same after that. But just wanting to get the passion I have and wanting to get back. But I did take a seat back, and I got to see a lot more. And I think that's kind of got me into the role that I got into. Was lucky enough and fortunate. Every kid I think, wants to coach after, or has, when they have a passion for it. But just sitting back a little bit and not being able to play, and then working on my master's, just going to class once or twice a week. I was in the office half the day, and then my grad classes were at night. And so I was in the office helping out and then practicing and then going to class. And that's kind of how I got my start. But definitely, I think it helped me as an athlete, and then obviously in my coaching career.
You're listening to the introductory press conference of new University of Hawaii softball head coach Panita Thanatharn.
You have only one more year of Big West softball for University of Hawaii before the school's set to go to the Mountain West. So what do you want to kind of establish during that transition period and this last year of Big West, and what you kind of foresee ahead in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I'm familiar with the Big West, but I've been in the Mountain West too. So I think they're both very competitive conferences. So I don't think much will change in recruiting or philosophies or goals or whatnot. So I'll still have the same vision and plan, whatever conference we're in.
I saw just, a matter of days ago, Coach Kim retired at Long Beach right after 19 some odd years. So was there any thought on your part, like, was that something you had seen in your career as a goal to succeed her? And yeah, just how was that with the timing and everything happening over there?
Yeah, I mean, no timing is good timing for anything, right? Sometimes. So my goal has always been a head coach, and going to just be a head coach, or, apply to every school across the country just to have that head coaching title. I think a little bit, I've talked about it before, a little bit younger in my career, I kind of did that. I was like, I'm going to go. And then I was like, hold on, you're still pretty young. You don't know everything yet. Let's just learn from, my mentors and stay put. So obviously she was my coach when she was an assistant. And then my last year, she was the head coach. And then obviously she gave me my start before I went to UNLV, and I've been back. So, I obviously think she's a great coach, but more than anything, a great person as a player, a coworker, a friend. And I'm going to do a lot of things that I've learned from her and bring that over here.
A really common question in Hawaii is, where did you go to high school? And you're probably going to get asked that a lot. So I wanted to ask about your upbringing and, where you come from, and has Hawaii ever been a part of that? And if not, how much you're, thinking about the move here and stuff like that.
Yeah, I grew up in California. I was born in Downey and grew up in Whittier for a little bit, and then I moved to Chino Hills, and that's where all the recruiting is a lot too now. So not too far. So it wasn't that big back when I was playing, but yeah, my in Whittier, our neighbors down the street played. He was the president of Little League, so my parents had no idea what baseball was, but they signed us up, and I got the hand-me-down glove. I really write left-handed, but I got the right-handed glove and just copied what my brother did. So I batted right-handed, and so my parents didn't know much about baseball, but that's kind of how we got started. I got started with baseball and just loved it ever since. So my parents are originally both from Thailand, and they both came out here for school. And so I'm first generation, and my dad wanted me to play soccer because he knew the rules, but I didn't want to run. So yeah, I played baseball and then switched over to softball a little bit when I was older. But swam, played water polo. They definitely kept us very athletic, and sports was a big part of growing up. And yeah, so Hawaii, Hawaii is very similar to the Thai and Asian culture and people and family. So very, very connected in that sense, in the community and whatnot. So I'll definitely be, bringing that there. My parents usually try to travel as much as they can to watch games. So they've been to Hawaii a handful of times as well when my teams have been there.
You're listening to the introductory press conference with new University of Hawaii softball head coach Panita Thanatharn.
Let me ask you, just like, it's got to be such a whirlwind for you. Is there any idea of your staff? Or that, like, are you looking to bring in a pitching coach? Have you gotten to move on that, Panita? Or it's obviously a big, a big move for people to come over here. What are you looking at there?
Yeah. No matter what, pitching is the name of our game, right? So it's pitching. I don't care. Pitching is the name of our game. So that is my number one. Besides the team being the number one priority, I'm gonna look for a staff that I trust and that these players could look up to and have good role models. But the first person I'm gonna attack is pitching coach, and then I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to take my time. I think it's going to be very important hires. I need to surround myself with great people and people I could trust. And again, just people that are going to care about our team. And so I do have, an idea of some names, and then my phone has not stopped blowing up today.
That's good. That's a good thing.
So
in that same thread with pitching, Panita, is obviously you coached Addison, or Addison was there when you were obviously at Long Beach, and then is that, how's that connection? Are you looking forward to her, just her input and that sort of thing? Have you touched base with her a little bit?
Yeah, she sent me a text, and then, but I did also reach out to her last week, just,
just here I am. Hey, the second thing is sort of, if it was a Panita, I know that you are very well known for your work ethic, and obviously that's sort of, you're a worker, and at least that's what I've sort of observed and heard through the grapevine, and it seems to be true. What would the personality of a Panita team be? Would it be a running team in an ideal world? Like, is there a kind of style of play? What are the core values for you from a coaching standpoint and just the student athlete that you're looking for?
Yeah, we're gonna work. We are. I am a worker. I come from a family of workers. My dad's 75, 6, still working. My mom, she's retired, but we grew up. She owned a restaurant, so you're always working. So I grew up with always working, and so I'm gonna bring that a culture of hardworking, women, and it's working hard in the classroom, on the field, in the community, all the above. So definitely gonna work, but also, this is the 4 or 5 best years of their life. So it's their I told them today I had the best college experience, and obviously education's one. softball is right next to it, number 2 there, and then the social aspect, which involves the community, and so I think Kim and Pete and Kim again, just because I've worked with her and I was a player as well, and a coach for her. Like, she has a really good balance on the 3 of that, and it is a balance between the 3 if you want to get the best out of your athlete. So, it's not going to be working to the max 4 hours each day, whatever the max number of hours we could do, or this or that. I mean, I think there will be a balance. Some days we'll put in more work on the field if we need to, but then also have a pulse with the kids. Like, today's a better day if we just, I can't break them down either body wise with,
Right.
So yeah, we're going to work, but at the same time, we got to enjoy ourselves and have fun. Like, I mean, I absolutely love what I do, and I want to surround myself with the best people, and we're with each other so much, especially once we start traveling and everything. So just enjoying each other. So, our team's gonna, we're gonna work, and we're gonna work hard, and, but there's gonna be a process to it, and I'm gonna teach that and instill that, and we're gonna have fun while we're doing it as well.
And that was new University of Hawaii softball head coach Panita Thanatharn. Again, that announcement coming yesterday morning, amongst other things. So she was selected as the 4th head coach in program history by way of Long Beach State. So that's where she's been most recently, the associate head coach there at Long Beach State since 2016. And she also has significant experience really running a lot of parts of the program. So since she returned after a little stint at UNLV to Long Beach State in 2011, she had served as the primary recruiter and hitting coach, as well as handling all administrative duties and the conditioning program for the team. So I hope you guys enjoyed getting a little bit to know her. Again, her parents are from Thailand, so she is first generation, born and raised in California, but also obviously coaching at Long Beach State. Came to Hawaii a lot, and she kind of mentioned the cultures. As we know here, a very deep Asian culture here in Hawaii, so the culture and everything is really similar to what she grew up with, and I think she'll fit in just fine. And of course, when you see how she looks like she's from here. But yes, originally from California and coming over to the University of Hawaii. And the significant thing, if you guys haven't read the write-up for on HawaiiAthletics.com, is that Long Beach State has finished, ever since she's been there, has finished top 4 in the Big West. So that is very important to recognize that consistency and winning, and then also 5 Big West championship teams she's been a part of. Let's see. And winning. But NCAA regional teams, 8 with Long Beach State and 1 with UNLV. And then the 5 Big West championship teams, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021, and 2023 most recently. And again, I think that is just something to really continue to emphasize, as being part of a program that never finished conference play in the Big West lower than 4th place, because we know that Hawaii has been a little inconsistent, right? Prior to this year, it seemed like it was kind of trending downwards and kind of middle of the pack to lower of the pack. But at Long Beach State, they have just been proving that they have been competitive for this consistent amount of time. So is used to that culture of winning here. And actually this season, right, I want to say Long Beach State is the only series in conference that they lost. Hawaii did, right?
Straight conference. They also technically lost to CSUN, or straight conference. They also technically lost to CSUN, but they split the first 2 and then played that weird rained out game later.
Yeah.
So like, it counts, but I don't really count that one, because it's like it's almost similar to playing in the Big West tournament, right? Where it's like just kind of a one-off game where literally anybody can win on any day. But when it came down to the actual playing 3 games in 3 days or 4 days or whatever it may be, for the series, Long Beach State was the only one who took the full weekend and then won. And they did it here in Hawaii, didn't they? I think, if I remember correctly, wasn't that to open up the year at home?
Yes.
Yeah, so, she's used to winning at Rainbow Wahine softball stadium. Let's just say it
Hawaii
like that.
Hawaii did have their number though in the Big West Conference tournament.
Yes.
They were able to beat them, and
They
that
got
was
their lick back.
high scoring game. That was the one 10-8, an incredibly high scoring
stressful
game.
game.
Yeah, very very stressful. So again, we understand a lot of people might be a little disappointed because the associate head coach here at the University of Hawaii, Coach D, was not the new head coach. I know that was a front runner and a favorite for a lot of the softball community here, but I hope they can get excited and supportive for Coach Panita when she comes here. And I can imagine that they will. And we heard Lori Santi in there. She is a alumna, very supportive of all women's sports and especially softball. So I'm sure she'll rally the hui and everyone will come behind the new softball head coach. Again, it's just so crazy to think about that we're talking about a new head coach. I mean, even though,
fourth in program history.
Even though Bob Coolin was in the retirement age, I felt like he was just never going to leave. That's all I knew. I mean, he's been the coach almost as long as I've been alive. So it's just
that one holds a little more weight than when I say.
So
a little bit.
It's such an interesting change. We're talking about a different head coach now at softball. But again, looking forward to the future here for the Rainbow Wahine.
I'm really excited about this hire as well. One, I texted you and Michael this yesterday after our initial presser with Coach Panita, and I was like, just off initial vibes, very much so like her energy. I think that she seems like a good person, and overall, doing research into her background, something that's really inspiring to me is how every single person she's worked with talks about her recruiting acumen. I really appreciate that. She has been the lead recruiter at Long Beach State for, a decade, it feels like. She also did that over at UNLV. She's consistently brought in very good players. I'm somebody who obviously takes a lot of interest in recruiting stories and players and whatever it may be. So that was something that really did stick out to me when reading it, where you heard or you read multiple head coaches that she had worked for, worked with, worked under, be like, her recruiting ability is outstanding. Her ability to connect with players is outstanding. And that goes such a long way, where we talk about, will she be able to have that same success here in Hawaii, whether it be with the local girls at the schools where we have seen there are some powerhouses, or, can she also bring in, maybe does Hawaii start flirting with the best of the best talent in California all of a sudden? Because what if we get top tier Cali girls with our top tier Hawaii girls? All of a sudden, things get pretty exciting, right? So, and this is a lot of ifs and buts and candied nuts and every day is Christmas, but I very much so enjoy that she's cut her teeth when it comes to recruiting. She has been a consistently successful recruiter. And in a place like Hawaii, where we have talked about the challenges of making it here and making a consistent, successful program here, regardless of the sport when it comes to recruiting, I am very excited that that is one of her outstanding strengths, rather than something that, she's a great coach, but when it comes to bringing in players, when it comes to connecting with people, she could still get better there. I mean, at the end of the day, you heard me say at the start of this show, right? It's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes. I gotta get a ladies version of that, but it's the players. At the end of the day, she can be the greatest coach of all time, but if the players can't hit, if the players can't pitch, the players can't field, then it doesn't matter. So I appreciate that she's shown a track record to bring in quality recruits.
Yeah, I was wondering if someone was going to comment on that part, and someone actually texted in, just an observation. She really doesn't answer questions thoroughly or directly. Not a hater, by the way, laughing face emoji. So it's funny because that was my initial thought in the Zoom, but then you got to remember, this is her first head coaching gig, right? So you're not, even when you're an associate head coach, I mean, we've never heard Coach D really address the media, right? When we have these media availabilities throughout the season. So usually when you're an assistant, you're not always addressing the media and answering questions like that. So I understand the observation, and I kind of thought the same thing, but then I had to remind myself, I was like, oh, this is her first head coaching gig. So she has likely not done this a lot, and not too often, where she's looking at the media panel and asking questions that she is not prepared for what's going to come her way. So I get it, and I that's a fair observation. But like I said, I think it comes with being like anything else, being on a certain job, it comes with cracking the mic a little bit more and getting used to that. So I thought that was interesting that someone brought that up. And again, I believe she's a hard worker. I'm sure she's there like, okay, I need to get better at the media stuff.
Can I be
right?
honest
like,
with you? And I say this as a media guy. I think my last worry in the world is about how the coach communicates with the media. Like me, I would love if she gives great answers and whatever and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But also, like, when it comes to my evaluation, it's going to be a lot more about what she does on the field, what she does bringing in people.
Yeah, and I think that's why this person is like not a hater, by the way.
That's the point that they're making as well. But I am more so saying why it didn't bother me per se, because I have been known to be a little bit of a snob when it comes to media stuff at times. But this is one where I'm like, at the end of the day, if that is the biggest flaw that she has is she's a little awkward with the media.
Actually, if that is her biggest flaw, then I'll take it.
I will sign up for that 100 times out of 100 because
we're winning, finishing top 4 every season of the Big West.
With love and respect, a lot of coaches are awkward with the media. So if she's just a good coach, I don't really care.
Yeah, but I appreciate that text, and I understand, and I love how they made sure to put in the disclaimer, not a hater, by the way. So I appreciate that
that's
from you.
Perfectly fine.
That there's other things. All right, just real quick before we go to break. All right, we've been talking about a lot. So again, Panita Thanatharn, the new UH softball head coach, and then also Matt Elliott expected to be the next UH Manoa athletics director, but there's kind of like some other news going on as well. During during the audio that we were playing for you, just want to at least mention this with everything going on right now, because we do cover other sports. But Aaron Rodgers is going to likely be the next quarterback at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finally,
he loses out to Mason Rudolph, I guess.
The worst kept secret, I guess we were talking about, that everyone was like waiting to happen. But it's kind of funny because Aaron Rodgers goes back and plays the Jets in week 1 of the NFL season. So that's why it's kind of funny. It all comes full circle. That's kind of the breaking national news. I know we've been talking a lot of local news, as we should, because this is a Hawaii sports show. But of course, one thing a lot of people are passionate about are not just the NFL, but of course the Pittsburgh Steelers here in Hawaii. So Aaron Rodgers to fly to Pittsburgh tomorrow and sign with the Steelers ahead of mandatory minicamp. So that's one of the breaking news that came out. But yeah, playing the Jets to open up week 1.
I wish I had an actual reaction to this, except I've expected it for weeks at this point. He's just done the A-Rod thing where he just kind of drags it out forever. And I'm thankful for that, actually, because if he had signed weeks ago, the Jets would be playing in primetime in week 1, and that would make me actually miserable. I am so happy. I get so many 7 a.m. games this year, 8 a.m. games this year, which for those of you who are listening from the East Coast, those are our 1 p.m. games. It's going to be great. It's going to be such a calm year, but it starts with that where you have Justin Fields going against the team that benched him, by the way, after he won 4-1, I think, in his 5 games or whatever. This is going to be like, I think MetLife's going to be rocking. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because I think there are some Jets fans who are upset that Rodgers is gone and whatever, they wanted to keep him. I think there are also a lot of Jets fans who are kind of upset with just the way that he went out as well with the Jets and kind of torching their new head coach. So I think it's going to be fireworks in week 1. It'll be a lot of fun, but it's also just news that we've been expecting for weeks now.
For a long time. And that's to add to all the other breaking news that has been happening so far. Right, we're going to take a break. We will be right back to close it out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Be sure you like and subscribe if you have not already. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in on whatever platform, whether even if it's on demand. But that is why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. And it's been a packed show. I mean, this 2 hours flew by. Again, we didn't get just one breaking news from about the University of Hawai'i with the new softball head coach being announced yesterday, Panita Thanatharn. We got more breaking news that came in late last night, first reported by Brian McGinnis, but ever since then, there's been a bunch of additional information, including from the University of Hawai'i and confirmation from President Wendy Hensel that Matt Elliott, most recently with the Hawaii Community Foundation and spent about 13 years at UCLA working in athletics, and a big part of the transition for UCLA into the Big Ten, will be recommended to the Board of Regents come June 16th, and it is likely and by all accounts will be approved, and he can start no later than July 1st. So I like the timeline. I like how the process has played out so far, and we've been talking extensively about it, and we're excited for the future of the University of Hawai'i, and we've been very vocal. I mean, I know you guys know that we have been huge supporters when Craig Angeles was here, and aside or separate from a lot of other people that were so like, oh my gosh, why did Hawaii hire like someone with no Hawaii ties? We were always supportive. Like, we're always going to be supportive when new administrators and whatnot come over to the University of Hawai'i. Equally critical when we need to be, but we are excited. From what we gathered and read up on before seeing the full write-up of Matt Elliott, already liked the guy, but now seeing all of the details about him via hawaii.edu, like him even more. Again, if you missed it and wondering why he left UCLA to work at the Hawaii Community Foundation, he married a local girl, so they met when he was a law clerk here for Judge K back in 06, 07-ish, and they were living on the East Coast for a little bit, where he practiced law at a very prominent law firm out there in Massachusetts. Decided didn't want to really do that anymore, wanted to work in athletics, so got a job at UCLA and worked his way up from there, and was the Bruins chief strategy officer. And if you guys know anything about me, I'm all about people with strategic experience, because it's all about planning for the future so that we don't get put in situations that we are currently at. And of course, with the Aloha Stadium and all of that stuff, it's all about, okay, what's our next steps? Like, that's cool. What's next? You always got to keep planning. And like we said, he has that tie, knows about Hawaii, has that here. They moved from UCLA or from California back home to Hawaii because they thought their new son, it would be best that he would be raised here and close to her family, in case anybody is wondering. So that's kind of the gist about Matt Elliott for everybody, but you can see the full extensive information about him again at hawaii.edu, who is likely to be the next UH Manoa athletics director that we can get excited about. So yeah, again, no news happening, not locally, not nationally,
through this show.
Not nationally, like with Aaron Rodgers now expected to actually sign with the Steelers. Nothing going on at all in all of this. Oh, and Paul, isn't there like some basketball game going on today?
Is there? I don't know. I thought the season ended. I've been out of basketball mode for almost a week at this point, Koo. I don't. Wait, the NBA Finals are starting.
Oh, yeah.
That's game 1 today.
Oh,
and it's actually going to be
what it was.
It's actually going to be a really fun series.
Oh my gosh. How did we forget about that, Paul?
Yeah, especially on such a
slow
day, a day where, I mean, we've struggled to get to every break. We've extended each break. It's been brutal. No, on a real note, I'm really excited, by the way, for this NBA Finals. I know I've said it, that I do think that the Thunder are going to win, and I do think the Thunder should be heavy favorites in this. That being said, I think the Pacers are a team. One, we've seen them through the first 3 rounds of the postseason. Every single series, they have some stupid, insane comeback. So if you are Oklahoma City, you can't just take your foot off the gas, especially early on. That being said, we're going to learn a lot about what this series could be, I think, in game number 1. Though, who knows? Maybe Rick Carlisle's experience does come through and help out a little bit against the younger Mark Dagnall. I don't know. I'm really excited, Ku. What do you think about this series? I know our Michael Escaro is thinking quite a bit about this series. I don't think it's actually left his mind.
I think our Michael Escaro is actually relieved that the breaking news for the softball coach and the athletics director happened yesterday. So he got a lot of time to get everything gathered, update our web post, go to hawaiisportsradio.com as well for more information about Matt Elliott. And so I'm sure he's relieved that all of this, the core part, the important part of what our job is now that he can take care of. And I'm sure he's having fingers crossed that nothing crazy will happen by the time the game starts this afternoon, so that he can, hopefully pay attention entirely to the Pacers Thunder's game 1 in the NBA Finals. All right, here we go. This is what I always like to do before the series tips off. As we mentioned, the Thunder, a huge favorite on the money line to win the NBA Finals at -700. Pacers at 5-1. Shortest odds in the amount of games is 5. So 2-1 odds for the game or the series to go 5 games, 6 games at +275, a sweep 3-1, and 7 games +350. I'm going with the 6-game series by favor of the Thunder, but like you said, it's like I think the Pacers are a quality team. It's just the Thunder is just like that. A little tiny step up.
I think the
it's going to
Thunder
be
are
fun.
the optimized version of the Pacers.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun series nonetheless. But I know we will get, should the Pacers pull this off, Michael Escaro will be like
insufferable.
Yeah.
And you know what? If they do,
because that would
he
be
deserves it. He deserves the ability to be insufferable because it would be not one of the biggest upsets of all time. I think that would be hyperbole.
No. Yeah.
But I do think it would be one of the more shocking upsets in the last quarter century in a finals or really just a championship in general. Like OKC is that strong of a team, but the Pacers, we joke about the devil magic and whatever, but like they legitimately are a never say die team. They are led by an offensive enigma in Tyrese Halliburton. Pascal Siakam has championship experience. If they do take this series to 7 games, if they do make this a lot more interesting, I don't want people to be shocked or surprised. That being said, I'm also kind of where you're at. I've been bouncing between Thunder in 5 and Thunder in 6. I think it's Thunder in 6 because I don't see the Pacers laying down and only winning 1 game.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at. By the way, shout out to you, Oz from Sunnydale in our chat saying that they love my shirt. I love you. Thank you for giving me a shout out because this is one of my favorite shirts actually. And I did wear it purposefully because today's a positive day. It's a positive state. Day. A lot of great news to talk about for the University of Hawaii. And I don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers on my team anymore. So
and playing in primetime in week 1 against the Steelers.
All things coming up gravy for Paul. And UH also swinging for the fences. I'm loving it. What a great Thursday.
And we are hopefully going to get some really fun basketball later on this afternoon between the Pacers and the Thunder. 2:30 p.m. tip-off time on ABC. The Thunder, you're 9.5-point favorite in today's contest. Line really hasn't, or the spread really hasn't moved since we last checked it or been checking it. -450 on the money line. The Pacers, you're +340 underdog on the money line. Total though, Paul, here, last pick for you. Total set at 230.5.
Over. Under.
Ooh, okay.
Under. Because I actually think both of these teams' defenses, like the Thunder's defense gets a ton of credit. The Pacers' defense can be a horrific sieve sometimes. I think they'll be ready for game 1. I'm going under for this one.
I like it. I was thinking under 2. And it's one of those, like, almost like the beginning of an MMA or boxing fight. Like, you're trying to figure each other out a little bit, how everyone is set up, and then they'll see what happens. Even that spread seems kind of big for me, but I do have a lot more faith in the Pacers than most people. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to this basketball game. And again, luckily all the news broke yesterday. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for listening. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.
Home of the Dallas Cowboys, KGU AM, K236CR, Honolulu is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
From the Salem News Center, I'm Chaz Hontai. Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi is commenting on the pending retirement of Police Chief Joe Logan. Blangiardi says he met with Logan on Monday to discuss his future with the department, and it was Logan who said he wanted to retire. Since the announcement, critics have accused the mayor of exceeding his authority. Blangiardi says he did not fire Logan, but admits he wanted a change in leadership.